What's up, comrades? Nightwolf here, and welcome to another video. I can't believe I have to make a video kind of like this, because it feels like there should be enough videos explaining this topic, or enough articles explaining this topic, so then I shouldn't have to explain this to people. But I guess I kind of have to, because I have seen a few articles and a few things here and there where people are claiming that the term Mary Sue is a sexist comment, or also people just not fully understanding what a Mary Sue is. And I don't really fully understand why this is a hard concept to understand. And it's also not like a Mary Sue character can't be written, or a Gary Stu character. Yeah, that's the first thing I kind of wanted to cover. Both the term Mary Sue is just for female characters. There's the male equivalent that's called a Gary Stu. And in this video, we're going to talk about two different Mary Sue characters, one that's both male and one that's both female. And we're going to explain that this isn't something that's focused on sex or the sexuality of a person or anything of that nature. What it is a really bad writing trope. That's what it is. You know, feminists always complain about, like the damsel in distress, form of storytelling and whatnot, and this is just one of those bad representations of bad writing. A lot of the times you find this type of stuff in fan fiction, but over the course of the last several years, and every once in a while, you'll see Mary Sue characters. Now, in the case of a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu character, are there any ways that they can be written well? Yes, normally they're written well when used in parody. So, in a sense, they are a joke character more so than actually to be taken seriously. When they're used in serious tones or in serious matters, then you start getting into this realm where they don't work very well as characters. Now, the reason why a Mary Sue character will probably not really work very well for storytelling is because they're normally great at everything. They lack no flaws personally. They're amazing in every conceivable way. There is little to no wiggle room. They're always right. They're always amazing. And that's just boring and uninteresting. Another thing that Mary Sue characters are basically supposed to be, in a sense, is they're supposed to be like a self-insert character. Like, let's say you're writing a story, and it's in, let's say, one of your favorite forms of fiction. Like in a Star Wars film, or any fiction. You can pick any fiction, doesn't matter what. But here's the thing. A Mary Sue character is normally, or Gary Stu character, is inserted in, and they are self-insert of the writer most of the time. They're them trying to be a part of the universe that they love so much. Now, in the form of fan fictions, this is, while it's a bad trope, it's understandable that some writers would do this, because a lot of them want to live in the world that they love so much. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when you make them actual legitimate characters in actual stories and fiction, they don't go over well because they don't follow the rules of said universe. Another thing that these characters is a power fantasy. And power fantasy characters can kind of come in all different shapes and sizes, but the way that these characters are created is that they're just too powerful, too amazing, too perfect in every way, and they lack any means or ways to develop as a character. I mean, imagine you create a character that your journey has just started. Let's say the character's journey just now started, but he already has all the powers he needs. He already has the whole party of associates and friends. He already has his love interest locked down, and everything is already covered. The problem becomes is that you didn't get to experience the journey with him to how he got to this level, or how he got to this point. And it severely is lacking in the form of actual good storytelling. And also, when a character is so perfect, they're just not interesting. They're bland. You get bored of following them. Or they're insufferable, depending on the situation. Because normally what they'll do is they will break the rules of their own universe, and then it makes people throw their arms up in the air and give up. Now I'm going to go over the Mary Sue character real quick. Now let's look at Rey from Star Wars. We're going to use Rey as our female example because she's very relevant at this point still. Now, what do we know about Rey from these two films that we've watched? Well, we know that she's amazing pretty much at everything she does. Now, some people have pointed out the reason why she's so capable on the planet of Jakku is because she lives on a very harsh, desolate wasteland area, and if she didn't, she would die. So she needs to learn basically how to defend herself. She needs to know how to kind of learn to tinker around and survive. And I agree with this statement, actually. This is a very fair point. The problem, however, is that aside from that, she has no other discernible flaws at all. Think about it. She learns to fly the Millennium Falcon, but in the film, she says she has never piloted anything prior to this. And then when they're running, and Finn says we need a pilot, I believe she says we have one. And then they steal the Millennium Falcon. She also manages to fix the Millennium Falcon with no issues. Now, here's a funny thing that I would like to point out. Does everybody remember, in The Empire Strikes Back? How hard was it for Han and Chewie, someone who's owned the ship for probably over a decade or so at that point, how much trouble did they have fixing their ship and repairing it? I mean, be honest with me. They almost never could get that thing to work properly because it's such a hunk of junk. But Rey manages to fix it within the span of a few minutes. Without any trouble. That's a problem. She's also able to fly it and evade Imperial TIE fighters with little to no skill or actually being able to learn how to fly. Aside from kind of working around ships, yeah, maybe she could be good at repairing ships. I could maybe believe that, considering that she cleans them out and salvages them. I can believe that. But I find it hard to believe that she would actually be able to fly the ship. That's a bit more of a task that requires skill and practice to know how to fly a ship. There's very little room for her to learn how to fly a ship when she's never left planet. Also, she's accepted by every character that she meets. Han pretty much likes her within the span of about probably 10 minutes or so. No real reason, he just likes her. Luke, though he's begrudging and a little bit of an asshole in The Last Jedi, he caves and teaches her. Without question. Well, he questions her a bit, but because I think in The Last Jedi, I think the Mary Sue stuff was starting to fade away a bit, but it's still there. It's still prevalent because we have the Force powers. This is a problem for her character. She is capable of using Force powers without any prior knowledge. She barely even knows that the Force even exists before 10 minutes ago in the film, or 20 minutes. She didn't know what the Force was. She thought it was a myth. And then all of a sudden she's using Jedi mind tricks and all sorts of crazy stuff. She's able to be a Sith apprentice without any trouble whatsoever. I know that people have made the argument, well, it's well, he was injured. It's yeah, but he's still trained. he should still be able to take her out since she's never wielded a lightsaber once in her life. I mean, Finn wields the lightsaber and gets his ass kicked. Why doesn't she get her ass kicked? It's an interesting concept when you think about it. Now, I'm going to move to our Gary Stu character real quick. And I'm going to explain, and pretty much the same rules apply. A Gary Stu character is pretty much the same. They have no flaws. They're excellent and perfect in everything they do. They're bland, they're boring, and in the case of this character, he's also annoying. Now, which character are we talking about? We're going to talk about Kira Yamato from Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny. When you look at Kira, he is perfect. He has no character flaws. Everybody always follows his lead opposed to anything else, and the character is never punished for bad decision making. Similarly to Rey, he gets into situations where he should die or should be punished for his mistakes, and he never is. People follow him blindly without question, or agree with him after he trounces them in his mobile suit. This character has little to nothing that he has to fight for or work for. Everybody agrees with him. Everybody joins it with him without any hesitation or question. He's never challenged. And also, he has the biggest amounts of plot armor I think I have ever seen a character in Gundam to have, considering that he has survived 2 explosions at point-blank range. Yeah. One of them being a nuke, by the way, and he survives. You see what I mean when a character like this can be really bad? They lack the ability to be a good character, a solid foundation. They're too powerful or too perfect to be beaten by any character. People will follow them no matter what, without question, or love them without question. This is just a really bad trope that lacks in so many departments. Because when you read fiction and whatnot, you want characters that have to fight and struggle to succeed. A lot of the time you want a character who starts off with nothing, with very little, and is trounced and beaten up on a regular basis. I mean, people like to think Luke, for some reason, is a Mary Sue character. He's not, because in the original story, he follows the hero's journey. He starts off as nobody, or as just a simple person, someone with little to no power, but then grows in power over time, and goes through journeys, trials, and tribulations in order to achieve greatness. That is the type of character that you root for. That's the character that you follow and that you believe in, because you want to see them succeed. You want to see them through their ups and their downs. Now, I will say that I'm not the best writer to be discussing this topic. I haven't written a lot of stories, but I have written a few here and there. And I know a little bit about the Mary Sue trope, and I get annoyed when people try and claim certain characters don't have this problem, when in reality they do. They have this problem. And it's stupid. It's idiotic to say that they don't have the problem. I just want people to understand. Also, one of the more important things I'd like to point out, it's not a sexist thing. I think I mentioned this earlier. It's not a sexist thing. I think some feminists think that it's sexist to call a character a Mary Sue when they are. It's not, considering it can be used on male characters just as well. So, the problem is that, especially in today's modern society, a lot of people feel like they can't have a woman who is challenged by certain things, who They have to give her everything and put her on a pedestal so that she doesn't, she doesn't have to face adversities. You see that a lot in fiction nowadays, especially with female characters. And it's unfortunate, because I like female characters. I like female characters that have to struggle to prove themselves. I like characters in general who have to earn their place, who have to fight to be the heroes or the characters that the universe has needed. But unfortunately, in this day and age, we can't have that, apparently. It's one of those things that just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope it was at least somewhat helpful. I doubt it was, but you know what? It's one of those things that I felt like talking about. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to leave me a like, shoot me a comment, subscribe if you're new here. I'd greatly appreciate the help, and hit notifications. That would also be of great help to me. And as always, do not forget to raise your nerd flags high, and I will see you next time. Nightwolf's out.